Okay, so a very warm welcome to you, our audience, on the show Media Talks with me at DBC at Datunji. Over here and on this platform, it's all about peer learning, veteran experience sharing. And this is where we get to learn from each other, acquiring information, knowledge, all that is going on in our very, very techie world and in the 21st century. I mean, if you do not upgrade, you will soon, be outdated. And so this platform is a media versus communicators meet zone for us to learn from each other. Every time on this show, I bring someone new doing something spectacular in their own, specialty, area of specialty as media professionals or communicators. And today, my guest is someone I actually met on LinkedIn. I don't want to, let the cat out of the bag. She's going to be sharing a bit about how we met, something quite interesting. And incidentally, we're talking about digital branding for communicators. Digital branding for communicators. What will that do for you? Some of our colleagues in the media profession or communicators, as it's where, we love to interview people and talk, interestingly. Media professionals and communicators don't pay much attention to. And so I have someone in the house who will be talking about this all important need to do in the 21st century. I'm talking about Msen Nabo. You're welcome to Media Talks Show.
Thank you so much for having me, Ma. I'm really glad to be doing this with you today.
It's a pleasure too, and I want to say thank you so much for making our time to come on the show out of your busy schedule. All right, let's get to know a little bit about Msen Nabo right about now. Msen Nabo is a seasoned development communications specialist with a flair for driving change through content creation and effective storytelling. She is particularly passionate about women empowerment and girl-child education. Msen is the Digital Media Associate at Connected Development, CODE, where she amplifies the voices and plights of marginalized communities, showcasing how CODE empowers them to hold the government accountable through engaging content across social media platforms. She holds a bachelor's degree from Modibo Adama University of Technology, Yola, and several certifications in communications. You're welcome again to the program.
Thank you so much, Pa. Thank you.
All right. When we talk about digital branding, I mean, beyond all that the definitions we have on Google and online, to you, what would you say? How would you define the term digital branding? What does it mean to you?
Okay, so without using buzzwords or complicated terms, digital branding, it's simply how you showcase either your product, your service, or what you do on digital media, right? And by digital media, I'm referring to, because when you say digital branding, it's all encompassing. Sometimes people make the mistake of just limiting it to social media. That's YouTube, that's Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and the likes. But when you say digital media, it's all encompassing. It includes beyond the social media platforms. It includes platforms like MailChimp, where you put out monthly newsletter to subscribers, and then it includes web posts, blog posts, and so many of those things. So digital media, it's basically how you leverage these platforms to amplify or showcase your service, your product, or what do you call it now, mobilize people for action.
Oh, nice. And for us communicators or anyone in the media profession or whatever career, I'd like to say it is beyond selling services and goods. It is also like selling yourself, what you do. I
Mm-hmm.
am very big on creating visibility for what you do for as an individual. And that brings down, to the question I will be asking you next. When I first met you, I stumbled on your post about how you suddenly woke up and you found out that iChat has, had nominated and made you their youth ambassador. And tell us about that. How did that happen? And linking it up to our conversation about, being visible online, being visible in the digital space.
Okay, so after I joined Connected Development, I just decided I would start documenting my career journey on LinkedIn, just to inspire other young people like myself who, because I had to work myself, from bottom, the usual, you graduate, you pick your first job like that, like that. So I wanted people to see that it's also possible to do that. You don't have to, maybe it's good if you have connection and influence to, start from the top. But if you're starting from the bottom, so I basically just started putting out content on my LinkedIn page. When I started my job at Connected Development, I just made a personal decision to start sharing my career journey on LinkedIn, since it's like the professional platform. So I made that decision because I wanted to inspire other young people like myself, who are just starting out on their career, that it's okay. These are some of the challenges I'm coming across, or these are my wins and all of that. And for me to also have something to look back on. You know how they say when you don't document something, sometimes you forget even your own achievements. So I write that so I can always look back and see how far I've grown and all that. So at the time I started, I had just about 300 followers on my LinkedIn page. And
Oh, wow.
then yes, because I was consistently putting out content, talking about my work, talking about my field experiences, the projects we're doing in different states, my experience traveling to these communities, interacting with them. My followership kept growing, growing. So on this particular day, I remember it was a Monday, to cut the long story short. And Mondays are usually very busy, meetings, update from the last week and all of that. So I got a
Yeah.
message I got a message from the founder of iChat, and he says, "Oh, he has gone through my profile and he's really impressed. He likes my storytelling skills. He likes what I'm doing in the civic space so far, and he would like us to have a conversation." Then he shares his email address, I think. Yeah, and he goes, I should reply when it's convenient." So I get a lot of those messages, saying with all sense of humility, of course, people read my content and they tell me how they really like my storytelling skills. So when I saw that message, I didn't have the time, because I was busy that Monday. I didn't have the time to like click on his profile and check who is this, or maybe check the profile before I decide who to respond to. So I normally would just reply people irrespective of their
Who they
position or
are.
what, yeah, or who they are. So I replied him with, "Oh, thank you so much," and I shared my email address and then my phone number, because it's easier to, I mean, the communication will be faster on,
Yeah.
let's say, WhatsApp than on LinkedIn. So I shared that and we got on a call. And usually I would recommend training for organizations like that, because sometimes when they reach out to me, they want me to train their team on how to
Okay.
leverage social media, yeah, to amplify their work. Because most times you find out these organizations are doing incredible work, but they find it difficult to put out that story on digital media. And
Yeah.
it's a game, yeah, we're living in a world where it's a game of numbers.
Mm.
People need to know about what you're doing. Someone says if you're good at something and you're the only one who knows you're good at that thing, then you're doing nothing. The world
Yeah.
needs to know. So when I got on that call with the founder of iChat, I was like, okay, this is humbling. Thank you, sir. That was when I realized he was even the founder and community, everything. He's such a humble person. He would never introduce himself as that. So
Good.
yeah, so we got in the call and it was very casual. It was supposed to, I don't even know what it was supposed to be honest. I was all jittery and okay, this is like maybe an interview to see if I will fit for the consulting role or something. But it was so informal. And he told me how he has come across, people have sent recommendations. He has looked at people's CV, and he realized it's more, how these days there are lots of AI applications to
I
package things
tell
for
you.
people. Yeah, so when he meets those people, he talks to them, he's like, nah, this is not what I want. But without having to ask me to apply for this role, without anyone recommending me for this role, he stumbled on my post. Just, so the thing with social media algorithm is, the more people engage your post, the more it gets recommended to other
Mm,
audiences. So I'm guessing someone from my connection probably liked a post he came across, and then from there he went through my timeline and he saw track record of consistency. I'm stressing this
mm,
out because most people struggle with consistency. They tell
mm.
one night story and then they vanish, and then they come back 3 months later to start telling story again. But he went through and he saw months and years of consistency in telling story, in telling, so many impactful, and he was like, I'm the right fit. And I kept recommending that, Loan, let's make it a training. He was like, no, they need a youth ambassador, they need someone who understands the civic space, what is going on there. And this is an organization that is championing substance abuse among youth, and we know that's like a really critical problem
It's
right
a
now. We know
big,
that
big problem. Yeah.
it is, there's a serious drug problem in Nigeria among the youth, and our celebrities are not helping issues, because these are people, young people idolize. And you go on
Mm,
TikTok, you watch music videos, you're seeing drug casually being used, you're seeing so many things. So it gets to the point where people think it's normal. So bottom line, he said, I'll have to be iChad Youth Ambassador, because they need a youth like myself to tell the stories, to create awareness about the work iChad is doing, and the rest they say is history.
nice. Such an amazing story. All because you showed up on the digital space, you
Exactly.
communicated, you gave visibility to your work and what you are doing. And then, some of these things. I have followed you and I've seen you, provide a lot of training. I follow you and I read
Yeah.
your stories, and I see
Mhm.
that you are here and there, providing training for young people, for organization, or even for, even individuals and all of that, for groups, which is
Mhm.
quite, intriguing and interesting. All of this you get just because you're showing up and branding yourself on the social media.
Exactly.
So let's get down to it. Beyond just, getting opportunities, landing opportunities, what are the
Mhm.
other, benefits of showing up in the digital space, engaging the digital space, branding ourselves in the digital space as communicators or individuals?
Okay, so I'll start with the very essence of communications, especially development communications. When we put out content or communications material in the development space, we're trying to correct a narrative, or to create an awareness, or to, mobilize people to take action about something. So by showing up consistently on digital space, you're helping in shaping harmful narratives. Once upon a, I come from a region where, you know, if there's scarce resources, parents will prioritize sending the boy child to school rather than the girl. You hear things like, no, the girl is supposed to, just maybe go and hawk, support family income. There was a time when speaking up against gender-based violence, it's considered a shameful thing. I know we're not completely there as a society, but we can't say the stigma hasn't reduced. It has reduced
Mm,
significantly. And it's because people have consistently shown up, put out messages that help correct this harmful narrative in the society.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I should say that when I started, putting out content about my work or what I'm doing at Connected Development, I wasn't doing it with the intention of landing opportunities.
Mm,
You know, I'm
yeah,
happy and comfortable where I am. The organization has, very good policies, working conditions, and all of that.
yeah.
So I wasn't doing it to land opportunities. It was something that just happened along the line.
We're just
And
being you.
I was just being me and the opportunities came, right? So when you show up consistently, number one, you're branding yourself as a professional, you're making yourself an authority in your choosing niche. When
Mm.
people think of, oh, who do I meet for health advocacy? Your name should be first five people that should be
That
called.
comes up.
So you're
Yeah.
Exactly. So you're branding yourself as an authority in your chosen niche. That's one. Secondly, you're contributing to shaping harmful narratives in the society, correcting these harmful narratives in the society, advocating for policy change, or simply creating awareness. I don't know if you're active on Twitter, but we can see the tribal wars that have continued to go on digital space since the
Mm.
last general elections. And this is
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
people are just putting out content, and what you read shapes your mindset.
Yeah.
What you read, everything you consume, it may look like, no, I'm not influenced by this, but one day you wake up and you decide you're having reservation about a certain tribe, not because they've done something directly to you, but because you've read stories of people, some true, some untrue, that have been spread about them on digital media. So when you show up, you're also helping to correct these harmful narratives and shape new narratives in the society, especially on key issues. Then the third point, of course, the opportunities part. And I'm not talking opportunities in terms of just maybe you're called to train people. There's no fellowship you apply to in this day and time that don't
Mm.
require your digital handles.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and you know what you said at the beginning of this call is either you evolve or you die.
Mm.
So if you're looking for opportunities to advance international fellowships, fellowship in Nigeria, or even they request your digital handles because they want to know who is this person, what does this person even stand for. So
What
if
have you
you
been
have it,
doing?
what have you been doing? So if you have a digital footprint, it goes a long way, you know, in speaking for you in such instances.
I hear you. I hear the points you have made. Your digital print will speak for you. That is your that's like an online identity. And one other thing that I took out from what you said, is people are influenced by what they see. So one of the things we want to watch out for as communicators or media professionals is to mind
What we
what we
put
put
out.
out there. Mind the kind
Exactly.
of conversations you jump in. These days, it's very funny how people just jump into conversations they don't even have enough information about. And then people
Mm-hmm.
think that you can just insult people, you can drag people. That's the word where you join them in dragging. And I always say,
Eh.
I don't understand. Why are you online to help to drag people or to contribute positively? So again,
Mhm,
part of our digital branding is to mind what we post, mind the
mhm,
kind of conversations we join in. And then, of
mhm,
course, that's not to say you should not have conversations, but you should mind your approach and the things that you say out there. Because all of this, any comments you post on social media, am I correct? Once somebody types your
mhm.
name, they can find your comment, not just on your own page, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so once they
Exactly.
type your name, all the comments you are commenting, all the dragging you are dragging other people will pop up. It will pop up. It's not just about your page. So you need to, one needs to be mindful of not just posting content out there, but also minding the kind of conversations you engage in and the kind of content you put out there. Is it building people? Is it building you? Is it helping your brand or is messing up
Exactly.
your brand?
Exactly.
Now, this
Exactly.
brings me to what kind of tools can we leverage on to help us in our digital branding? What kind of tools? Maybe some that you have used that has helped you.
Mm. Okay. I will speak to both individuals and then organizations, for instance, because I'm hoping that people who are managing online platforms for organizations will also come across this. So, if you're managing the online platform of an organization, for instance, what you want to do is take feedback from time to time. You do your analytics report. So analytics just basically tells you how many people are coming in contact with your content, how many people are engaging that content. So that way it gives you an idea. Are you meeting the right, is your message being communicated to the right target audience? And
Mm.
one third party monitoring app I always recommend is brand mentions.
Brand
So
mention.
brand mentions helps you track project analytics, specific hashtag analytics. And that is why I always advise communicators to also have hashtag, when putting out their content, whether as individuals or as an organization. If you go through all my content, you always see hashtags like digital advocacy, you see hashtags like communications for development. Those are hashtags I use in all of my posts. They are personal to me. Then as an
Okay.
organization, we have different hashtags we use for different projects. So using brand mention, when you impute that hashtag, it helps you bring up your analytics, and then it shows you how many people are getting in contact with your content, right? That's one
Yeah.
app. And then there's also the inbuilt analytics for each of those platforms. LinkedIn has its own inbuilt analytics, the Facebook, Instagram, all of them. For Twitter, now you have to pay. You have to be a premium user to be able to see it. But
Mm.
even as it, yeah, so even as it, this is why social media influencers sometimes screenshot the number of impressions they get in every month and put it on their header, so that they tell you, that's their way of telling you, oh, if I promote your product or your service, this is how many people visit my page.
That
So
will see it. Oh.
yes, yes. So always take time as a communicator to take feedback by looking at your analytics, even as an individual and especially as an organization. You can use brand mention, you can use inbuilt analytics, then you can also set Google alerts for your brand.
Okay.
When I joined Connected Development again, I had my Google Alert set for Connected Development. So anytime Connected Development is mentioned in the media, I get a Google Alert. Connected Development has been mentioned here. So I check the content to see, okay, what was it about? So you can also leverage that. And now with the coming of AI, ChatGPT, and a whole lot of those, you can also leverage that. But here's what I tell communicators: don't over depend on AI, because you'll be cheating yourself in the
Mm.
long run, right? I see people just sit down and say, okay, draft this on this event for me, and then they copy all the thing
They
ChatGPT has
copy
been, and just
verbatim and nothing of
yes, and
original about the
yes,
post.
they just put it there, and people are looking for the humanity in your story, the human angle
Mm.
in your story.
Mm.
Now anybody can write anything,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
people are looking for the human angle part of your story. How did you feel at that event? What was it that stood out for you? People want real experiences. You went for, the other day I saw one LinkedIn post, and she was just sharing how on her first job in New Zealand, she had just lost her baby, and she had to show up for that interview because she needed the job. She's a Nigerian that had just relocated to New Zealand, and
Wow.
right there at the interview, her boss, the person is now her current employer, he asked her a question, and when she opened her mouth to talk, she just started crying.
Wow.
That she started crying because she had just lost her baby, and she had not had time. It was like a week or two after losing her
Good
baby.
time to
you know
grieve.
yeah, she has not had time to grieve, but she was forced to put herself out there because she needed a job. And when she started crying, the man didn't even ask her, why are you crying? You're not ready. You shouldn't have come if you're not emotional. He didn't say, he just said, does she need time to go and, put herself together? He showed her the
Mm.
restroom. She put herself together. She cried, and then she came back, and the interview continued. And she
Mm.
landed the job. So,
Wow.
she just told that story. I'm sure she didn't know how viral that story will go.
That story
And I
will
was,
go.
yes, and I was purposely following the trend to see. At the time I saw it, it had 500 reactions. And as of today, that story has over 2,000 reactions. The boss, she tagged him to that post. He went from having around 800 followers on his LinkedIn to
Yeah.
over 1,000 followers. I think he should be around 2,000 by this time.
Yeah,
So
because
people are
he's perceived, he's now perceived as someone with empathy, a leader with
sure.
empathy.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that story did she was just being vulnerable. She was just sharing a time in her life, and that story covered a lot of aspects, both workplace ethics, kindness, empathy. A
Yeah.
lot of subject was
Yeah.
covered in a single post, because
Post.
imagine she just imputed that in ChatGPT.
Mm.
We
It
won't get the same feeling.
the emotion. Yeah.
It won't be there. The emotions won't be there. So while AI is good, and it's there to complement our work, not for it to take over our work. So those are the platforms I'll say we can leverage to support our work as communicators.
All right. Very interesting conversation. I was going to ask you about, AI and originality, but you've touched on that already.
Okay.
Now, how can we be consistent?
Oh
How have you been
God.
able to win the war of being consistent? Because I also post, I try my best in juggling with my work. My work life can be very busy, my personal life. How
Exactly.
do we, win this battle of being consistent? How do you do it?
Okay, again, I'll speak to both individuals and to organizations. If you're managing organization, please draft a content calendar. Don't say you will wake up and you will know what to post. Draft a content calendar. A content calendar simply especially if you're doing a lot of projects or you do a lot of activities. I work with an organization that champions, very key thematic areas of the SDGs. So we do projects from health, education, climate, all of that. So if you don't have a content calendar that tells you, okay, on Mondays I'll post about this project, on Tuesdays I'll post that, chances are you'll be giving more publicity to one project and ignoring the other
The
projects.
other project, okay.
Yeah. And at the end of the project, when donors want to see your report, or even management wants to see your social media report, you're just looking at maybe 5,000 impressions on content because you posted just once on that project.
Mm,
So,
mm,
first thing I'll say is have a content calendar. A content calendar is simply something that guides you, provide direction, what you post when. And I always tell people that it's not cast in stone. Content calendar doesn't mean when there's a trending issue, for instance, you don't lend your voice to it. You're talking about girl child education, and there's a viral case of a girl who has been forced into child marriage. She's trying to break free from it, and then everything got complicated. She's been frustrated and all of. You can put out a press statement, even if that's not what your content calendar says for that day. It's social listening to know what conversation you can contribute to further amplify your work. Then, as individuals, most people struggles with consistency. From my experience, when I go for trainings, most people tell me they struggle with consistency because they feel they'll run out of content. If I post today, what am I supposed to talk about tomorrow? What am I supposed to talk
tomorrow.
about the next day and the day after and the day after? So I tell people, always indulge in your hobbies. There's a story everywhere if you just look close enough. There's always a story. If you love watching movies, find time to watch it as much as you can. Watch it. You'll be surprised what angle you'll be inspired to tell a story about that ties to your work. If you love
Mm,
reading, read as many novels as possible, right? If time won't permit you to read novels, you can read long articles by your favorite authors, that inspire you. If you love traveling, travel. Sometimes people want to wait till I get on a flight, till it's international trip. That's when I'll talk about it. And you're cheating yourself out of what you can put out today. Whether I'm traveling to the village, whether I'm traveling to a remote community in Nigeria, whether it's by road, whether it's by train, whether it's by flight, I always have something exciting to talk about. So
mm.
always indulge in your hobbies. And the best of writers, they also have a writer's block. I mean, Chimamanda took
Yeah.
like 11 years to give us a new novel,
Another book.
and she's yes, so if Chimamanda can have writer's block, who are you, who am I not to have writer's block? So I
All
also
right.
tell people that yeah, you will not always feel like it. But on the days you feel like writing, write as much as you can.
Possible. Yeah.
Always, always, yeah, always use your phone notebook. Every phone now has a notepad. Always write down as soon as an idea drops in your head, note it down. It's easier for you to build on it when you already have something that reminds you of what the idea was in the first place. Most
Yeah.
people go for conferences, go for events, go for trainings, and they don't draft anything. 2 weeks later, when they want to write about that thing, their head is blank because they no longer
Mm.
remember how they felt about that conference. So
Yeah.
always use your phone's notebook. Write something. I attended this conference. This person said this, and it's said it. It's true that always take note of that thing. And on days when you're feeling inspired, write more than one content. Just keep it. Just keep it.
Mm.
Write and keep it.
So that you
And
can
I
find
tell
it
people that
useful
the
later.
more you thank you, and I tell people that the more you write, the more inspiration you get for your next content. I can just
Mm.
be looking at WhatsApp status on my WhatsApp, and I see something somebody is talking about, and coincidentally it aligns with one article I'm trying to write. So the more you
Mm.
write, the better at it you become. Please don't wait to be perfect. Don't wait to be perfect. Just think of it as you're talking to a colleague, like I'm doing here with Madam Adebisi.
Yeah.
Just assume you're gisting with somebody and put your thought. Don't wait to be perfect. The more you write, the better.
I like that.
You can't be good at something and you're the only one who knows you're good at something. And don't always say, oh, because this content didn't go viral, I'm discouraged from posting the next day. The secret
Yeah.
is in the consistency. The secret spice is in the consistency. You don't know which work will be the work that puts you on the global map. Love in
Yes.
Every Word isn't Omoni Oboli's first movie.
Yeah.
It's not even one of her best. It might not even be one of
Best
her
movie.
10 top
Yeah.
movies. Yes. But you can see people are literally begging and harassing her on Instagram that if we don't see a part two, there'll be problem. And for a
You can
producer,
imagine
that's more money for, yes,
for
that's more
you.
money for her. Yeah, and
Mm.
people are the ones now begging for this thing. So
Mm.
always indulge in your hobbies, read a lot. The more you read, reading has a way of, you're not just enjoying. For me it's a hobby, but when I read, consciously improving your vocabulary. The way you talk, the way you write, it improves with time. The more you read, the more you engage in hobbies that connect to the work you do. As communicators, you cannot afford to not have a hobby that is not tied around your work. You have to either like
Yeah.
traveling or watching movies or reading. There has to be something. So always do that. And then I always tell people to also always note down points when they go for events.
Yeah.
When I go for my organization's event, I'm noting down what was said because you can't type as fast as the people speaking, right? If you want to use your phone, it might not be. So maybe when you listen, you immediately write down the key point. And as a communicator, once you note down the key things, it's always easier for you to expand on that point. So I tell people
Yeah.
you won't always feel like it. Please make use of your phone's notepad. When an idea drops in your head, the person that said a short pencil is better than a long memory wasn't stupid. Write that
Yeah.
idea down. And on the days you feel like writing, write as much as possible. In my head right
Possible.
now, I have three content I want to write. Three content that I've not posted already. The idea is just in my head, and I've noted down the key points I want to talk about. So once I have time, I just come and populate that. I might not even post it this month. It might be something next month.
Yeah.
So always take in as many experiences as you can because they all add up to your storytelling. I'll round up with one last story on this point. You know, last year when we wanted to renew our health insurance at the office, right? They called the health insurance people to give us a brief orientation, what we're entitled to, what our insurance covers, and whatnot. And in the middle of that, you know, they said that if you're a single person, you couldn't access XYZ service. And Connected Development, that is a pro women, pro young people organization. So immediately they said that, the chief operating officer just said no, as far as the person is a staff of code and they want to access that service, the organization has paid for it. So you
For
can't
it.
discriminate or segregate on the basis of marital status. We're all adults
Mm.
here. If somebody wants to access the service, they should be allowed to access the service,
To
especially
access
because the
it.
organization has paid for it. So that incident happened. And then I just kept it at the back of my mind. Of course, it's something I won't forget in a hurry, because I felt this sense of pride. Like I'm working with an organization that is protecting the interests of people. We
Yeah.
know how, access to so many sexual and reproductive health, this thing, how access to some of these things are so difficult for young people in the society, based on
Mm.
religious or moral grounds and all of that. And then almost 8 months after that incident, Pathfinder International calls me to do a training for coalition of CSOs in Kaduna. Yes. Yes, just coincidence. So I went for that training, and we're talking about barriers to sexual and reproductive things that stand in the way of people accessing this. Sometimes it's even just information about
Yeah.
sexual and reproductive health, and we
Help.
make it so hush hush, hush hush. And by making it so hush hush and judging people, what we're doing is pushing young adolescent people to praise on the internet.
Mm.
People who are going to take advantage of them,
Think
tell
of
them,
them.
if you don't allow me to sleep with you, my back will pain me, this one will pain me, and it's all
Mm.
lies. you
Nice.
know
Mm.
but when you give people access to this information, when you teach them what they need to know, it helps them make informed choices. So I did that training, and I told that story. And then when I came back from that training, I also told that story on my LinkedIn page. And you could see how an incident that happened 8 months ago somehow
Mm.
connected to another incident, because right now I'm training people for Pathfinder International on sexual and
Nice.
reproductive health right advocacy. You know and everything just adds up. If you're a communicator, you have to pay attention to the story in every situation. This meeting
Around
is a
you.
story. This meeting
Yeah.
is a story, and I can't wait to write about it. So thank you so much, Ma. It's been an absolute privilege to have met you, connected with you. I've learned so much from your patience. You're so patient and understanding.
That's good to
So
know. Sometimes I'm not patient. So on a
so
final
thank
note,
you.
on a final note, so when you
Mhm.
talk about consistency, I want us to quickly touch on this. So this idea of some people post 6 times a day, 2 times a
Ah,
day, 5 times in a week. I am for that group that says, do your own thing, pace yourself, and look at what works for you. Do we
mhm.
necessarily have to post every day of the week as people that are trying to brand ourselves on the digital space, or we can find our own rhythm and what works for us, really?
Find your own rhythm and what works for you. So this is it also depends on the sector or on the niche you're covering. There are certain needs that might require you to, provide. For instance, if you're doing a crowdfunding for a sick person now, right? Somebody has cancer or they have brain tumor, and you're trying to, solicit for public funds for them. If you're in that era on your digital space, you cannot space yourself, because you need to tell people how much has been raised, what has
Yeah.
been done so far. You need to
Mm,
provide updates.
yeah.
If connected development is observing 2023 general elections, I cannot say, oh, I'll post this morning and then I'll give 2 days spacing. So it also depends on the time and season you're in. But
Okay.
overall, all things being equal, I always say space yourself. People get tired really easily. The same platform that can make you can mar you. So
Yeah.
space yourself and find what works for you. There's an information overload, and you don't stick to people's mind by putting out junk every day on their face. You
Yeah.
remain memorable by putting out content that are impactful,
Mm.
content that provide value, that communicate. If you're doing that every day and you're not bringing any form of that,
Value.
is just you stressing yourself for nothing. Always
Yeah.
pace yourself. And you know what they say now, you create some form of artificial scarcity and let people miss you small, and let
Then you
people
come
miss you small.
again.
Don't
Yeah.
you come back. But I'm not saying take 3 months break. You can do 3 times a week. You can do 3 times a week.
Mm.
Space yourself. That way you don't experience burnout. You're not
Yeah.
put under pressure to write and just put out anything because you have to post
Yes.
today.
Yes.
And you
Yes.
allow yourself to put your thoughts together, look for stories that are really impactful, and then you write. So space yourself, please, by all means.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to hear that because I always tell people that some people, if you want to follow their pace of 6 times, there are some people I follow online. Sometimes I'm under pressure, but this person has posted again. Oh, then I now ask myself, are we running the same race? No. So
So,
this person is selling market for some whatever. So the person
yeah,
has to. Me, I'm doing it on a professional level, though I also sell my services and
exactly.
all of that, but I had to like speak to myself that I'm not in competition with anybody. They
No,
run
you're
their
not.
race and I run my race. So I guess that's what we are also
Exactly.
saying here. That again, you
Exactly.
want to brand yourself in the digital space. However, have your own, work at your own pace and reading, find what works for you. And like Insen has said, you also want to pay attention to how to be consistent by writing on days when you feel like writing and just store them up. Sometimes I wake up in the morning, we wake up in the morning and we're supposed to be preparing for work. And then my husband say, "What's happening?" I say, there's something that just entered my head now. Just wait, 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 wait. I'll quickly carry my I have my note on my laptop and I'll quickly type it. I said, I don't want to lose this idea. So I guess
Exactly.
he's used to it sometimes. So find what works for you, find your aha inspirational moments and pen them down. No pressure and
Exactly.
post, at your own 3 times or 5 times, depending on what you want. I want to thank you so much, Insen, for coming on the show and really, really sharing. I've also learned, from you. I think one thing I need to stick to is the calendar thing for myself. So my takeaway, I know about it. I try to do it sometimes, but sometimes it doesn't work. So I think for me personally, I would try and develop a calendar for myself while also being flexible at it. So thank you again so much for coming on the Media Talks show.
Thank you so much for having me, Ma. I hope we do this again under better circumstances. There's been no light, so I
No.
hope we do this again sometime
It,
soon.
it is what it is. So it's good that sometimes our viewers see what we go through in recording. I'm very fortunate today. There's light. Sometimes the light goes off on me. But we do it,
Thank
we do it because we want
Yeah,
other people to also learn. So thank you also for
exactly.
pushing through, this recording. And I wish you the best. And this is where we call it a wrap on this edition of the Media Talks show series. We've been talking about digital branding for communicators. And again, the ball is in your court. Work at your own pace. Ensure that you are writing about what you do, your work, your services, your personal stories. Tell your stories. Engage AI, but ensure that you do not lose your originality and the humanness of your content. And like I will always say, I am rooting for you. We are going to the top together. Keep pushing, keep being your best. Catch you on another episode. Bye bye.